Any sales object is there. 6127. Suppose I'm changing the date. Let me change something else. I'm just showing you what all events, how you can see which event is associated with which application. So this is one of the application, that is VA02, that is the sales order, that is in change mode. So you can just open the application, and in backend you will just open the trace, you will trace on, and then that particular trace will show you which events was fired and with which business object it is associated with. So first let me show you which transaction is used to trace on the events. The transaction is SWELS. So here it is already on, so that's the reason this pop-up is showing me to trace off. If it is off, then you will only have to click on switch on. Just cancel this. So in SWELS, you will have to trace on the backend trace. And now I will open the transaction, suppose for the sales order change. Suppose I'm changing the payment terms. Now you can see standard order 1612 has been saved. Now what I will do, I will go to that particular trace. To go to that trace, you will have to give the transaction as SWEL. Just click on execute, and here you can see one object type column, then event column, then current date, time, name of receiver, and handlers. So in object type, we are having this business object. I hope you are aware of this, somewhat, not so very in detail, but somewhat you are aware of this business object. What is this? It is similar to a SAP class. It has some methods, attributes, and key fields. So we use those methods and attributes of this business object to execute the functionality of a particular application. So here, since we have executed the transaction VA02, therefore this BUS2032 is the BOR which is associated with the sales order application. So through this trace, we can determine which business object is associated with which application. So here I came to know that BUS2032 is associated. Now this particular change, this save is the custom one, therefore don't go with this. So this changed is the event which is associated with this particular business object. So once I made the changes in the transaction VA02, so this changed event was fired automatically. We don't fire it, rather it is fired automatically. Now in this date and time, is the today's date and now current time. Now in the name of the receiver, you can see one workflow number. So this workflow number has actually captured this event. That's the reason in the receiver it is showing the workflow number. If no receiver would have exist, then it would have shown no receiver exist. And this in the green button you can see here, since this workflow has captured this changed event successfully, that's the reason it is showing in green state. Now when you double click on this event, Okay, first let me copy this BUS 2032. Now going to the transaction SWO1. Give here this BUS 2032. Here this SWO1 is the transaction where we see all the business object, that is the business object repository. Here we can see the business object in detail, like the methods, the attributes, the key fields, everything. So just give BUS 2032 in object or interface type and then click on this display button. Now here you can see many methods are associated with this business object, events are associated with this business object. So here you can see this changed event which was fired when I made the changes in the transaction BA02. So this changed event was the standard event associated with the standard BOR, that is the BUS 203. So this changed event was fired in this trace. So here in this trace changed event was fired. We have in BAPI, you can go through in BAPI in the transaction where you can see number of business object is there. Or else you can just trace on and you can execute that particular transaction and can see. In BAPI you can see here number of business objects are associated with all application. You can see here for sales order, sales document, here also you can see the function module associated with this particular BAPI. Here you can see these are the business objects which are created custom. These are the custom business object. You can see here this business object type, this BUS. You can see here for the sales order BUS 2032. So this is how you can see. I think Rajesh, this was your question. It's not audible. So this is how you can see the object associated with the application. Also you can just trace on and can see which object is associated with which application. So here I was discussing about the standard events associated with that business object. So here since this workflow has captured this event, so that's the reason it is showing here the workflow. This is the not the standard workflow, rather this is the custom. You can see here 979, which is the custom workflow. So I will just deactivate the linkage so that it won't appear here, so that we can create one new one and I will show you. So this changed event was fired out of this business object, and this changed event was the standard event associated with this business object. So once you create this sales order, one created event will be fired. So you can just test it on, like once you create the sales order, one created event is fired, and you want that whenever the sales order is created or changed, this would be subjected to the approval process. Suppose it should be subjected to manager's approval. So what you will be doing, you will be just capturing this event and then you will be starting the workflow, and that workflow will in turn will be responsible to send the work items to the manager of the company or the partner of the company, whoever agents you define in the user decision step. So this comes the requirement in such a way, like as I told you, that if suppose sales order is changed or created, you need to pass that sales order number through the approval process. Once it is approved, then only henceforth a step should get executed. So, but the approval is required. So you can just capture this event once it is changed and then can start the workflow. So any doubt on this? Just I have told you the phrase how. Okay, so here discussing about the standard events associated with that business object. So here, since this workflow has captured this event, so that's the reason it is showing here the workflow. This is the not the standard workflow, rather this is the custom. You can see the 979, which is the custom workflow. So I will just deactivate the linkage so that it won't appear here, so that we can create one new one and then I will show you. So this changed event was fired out of this business object, and this changed event was the standard event associated with this business object. So once you create this sales order, one created event will be fired. So you can just test it on, like once you create the sales order, one created event is fired, and you want that whenever the sales order is created or changed, it should be subjected to the approval process. Suppose it should be subjected to manager's approval. So what you will be doing, you will be just capturing this event and then you will be starting the workflow, and that workflow will in turn will be responsible to send the work items to the manager of the company or the partner of the company, whoever agents you define in the user decision step. So this comes the requirement in such a way, like as I told you, that if suppose sales order is changed or created, you need to pass that sales order number through the approval process. Once it is approved, then only henceforth a step should get executed. So, but the approval is required. So you can just capture this event once it is changed and then can start the workflow. So any doubt on this? Just I have told you the phrase how to see the object and how to see the event. Everything I will discuss in detail in the next tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be showing you how to capture the event and start the workflow, how to maintain the linkage. Also, I forgot to say that we will be also discussing one check function module and start condition. This is most important. Check FM and start condition. These things will also be discussed. So any doubts in this? Just only the trace part, because BOR and these things I haven't covered yet. Okay, so here in what happens once you do the linkage between this business object and the workflow in transaction SWE2, one entry of the record gets created in this particular table automatically, and that record, suppose let me search the business object. In this object category, we are having either we can have a BAP class or object type BOR, or in this object type we can have the name of the class or the name of the business object, and in the event we will be having the name of the event, and in the receiver we will having the name of the workflow number who has actually captured this event, and this linkage will be there which actually tells you whether that linkage between this workflow and the event is present or not. So once you double click on it, just see this particular screen here. The object category is written, object type, event, and the receiver type. Now in here you can see one check function module. This check function module is responsible to filter out the things. Suppose you want that, okay, once sales order is created, you want that only when the doc type is suppose a job, then only you want that particular workflow to get triggered. Based the condition you are going to define in check function module. So we will be writing here one function module where we will be developing the logic, and that function module will be associated with this check function module, and then the workflow will be built accordingly. Suppose I want that sales order, whenever the sales order is 6127, then only the workflow should get triggered, else it should not. So I'll be writing the logic and I will be associating the function module with this particular check function module, and then the workflow will only get triggered when the sales order number is 6127. And here in this linkage activated, you can see here it is activated. It means that the linkage is present between the workflow and the event. I will discuss in detail afterwards about this. So for today's class, I'm done with this event, just overview on this event, why we need this event, and tomorrow I will be discussing in detail. I will be using one workflow where I will be capturing this event and will show you how it works. So any doubts till today whatever we have discussed? Fine, see you tomorrow guys.